Hi guys, welcome to my channel. In this video I'll be showing you how to cut and sew this lovely dress. If this is what you would like to see, please keep watching and watch the end of the video. So I kept my fabric on fold. This is to cut the front side, and I already drew out the starting point. Now from the starting point I'm taking the armhole measurement divided by 2. Okay, so you're going to draw it out. Now I drew it out on different parts of the fabric so that I'll be able to get a straight line. This line that I'm marking will form the chest line. So the next measurement is the shoulder to bust, then the shoulder to waist, and then the shoulder to hip, then the shoulder to full length. I'll be using the length of the longer part. So let's say the length of the longer part is like 41, so that's what you use, or it may be 38, that's what you use before we now draw a slant later on. So but for now I'm using the length of the longer part, how long you want that slanted part to be. So I just took the shoulder to bust, shoulder to waist and hip and full length on the other side, and then I'm drawing out a straight line. So on that chest line, I'm putting the shoulder measurements divided by 2 plus seam allowance. I've already done that on the starting point, so I drew it out. So that line is going to be our armhole line. Then I came down by 1 inch for the shoulder slant, and then I marked the 3 inches natural neckline. Then I'm drawing out the shoulder slant. Okay, so you're going to add 0.5 seam allowance at the upper part to join the front and back together. All right, so we're going to be putting our measurement for the bust, the waist, and the hip. Okay, so now I'm drawing out that line so that you can see it very well. On the bust, you put the bust divided by 4 plus your seam allowance. Then you do the same thing for the waist circumference divided by 4 plus the seam allowance. Then on the hip also, the hip divided by 4 plus the seam allowance. So it's the measurement that I have on the hip I'm going to take to the full length. So I just measured out what I have on the hip and I took it down to the full length. I'm taking my time to explain that, as I do not even increase the speed of this video so that you get all the details. All right, so now I'm connecting I connected from the waist to the hip, then the hip straight to the full length, and then from the waist to the chest line, as you can see. So we're going to move up to the upper part to draw the armhole measurement. That's why I have to shift my camera so that you can see it all. Okay, so from that slanted line, that's the shoulder slant, you're going to measure what is left and divide by 2. On the midpoint, you're going by 0.75 for the front. Okay, then you draw out your armhole. If you are using this to cut the back also, the back on you go in by 0.25. So I'm using it to cut the back. So for the back I just went in by 0.25. So when I'm cutting this, I cut the back first before cutting the front. So we're going to draw the neckline. It all depends on the depth that you want. I used 4 inches depth for this, and the wideness can be 4 also. It all depends on what you want. So for the back, you can reduce that of the back, you can make it longer, whatever you want. Okay, so I'm drawing out a box just to direct me to form my curve well. I'm taking out the back neckline. I'm going to draw it out so that I'll cut it out first. Then when I'm done cutting the back panel, I may now cut out the neckline of the front. You get it, right? Okay, so that is just how it is. This is the basic one you're going to draw first. Then we're going to cut it out. You cut out the back before we do the drama. You can see that I first cut out the back armhole alone. I've not cut out the part that I chopped for the front armhole. So right now I'm cutting out the back neckline. Okay. So I've placed this, the front, the one that I've cut, on another fabric to use it to cut the back. So I'm going to be placing the zipper that's why I can see that I'm extending those lines. So I added 1.5 inches zipper allowance, and on the waist I went in by 0.75 on the waist to form the zipper dart. So from that point now, I'm going to slant straight to the chest line. Okay, then you slant it straight to the hip. I had to change the place I was using for the video because they took the light. Okay, so that it will be bright enough for you to see. So that zipper that's 0.75. You're going to add it back at the side on the waist, okay, to make up for what you have taken out. Assuming we are drafting this with paper, we'll have done it perfectly well, but if you do it like this, it's still very fine. Okay, so we are not drafting with pattern, we're not drafting this with pattern, it's freehand. All right, so I've added the zipper dart, I've added the zipper allowance, I've replaced the dart, and now we're going to cut this out. You can see it's very simple. It's very simple. It's a very simple dress, and you're going to love the outcome. So guys, if you have enjoyed the video thus far, please give it a thumbs up, and drop your comment, because it will help people that also need to see this to see it. They get to see it. Okay, and if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please kindly subscribe to encourage me. Please, like, seriously, I'm begging you. Okay, so if you have not subscribed, try and subscribe. It's not hard, just click on that subscription button and then you have subscribed. Okay, so I'm cutting out the zipper that you can see the way I'm cutting it out. The down part is just straight. Okay, it's only on the waist I took out something. So after cutting the straight part, I'm now cutting the slanted part, which is to cut away the zipper that you can see. And then I'll stop at that point where the slanted line stops above the chest line, and then I cut out the remaining part also straight. So you're not cutting out anything other than the waist part. Okay, so I'm just notching the waist so that when I want to shape it will be easier. The waist and the hip, very important, so that when you want to shape it, it will be it will guide you. So I've removed the back, and then I'm going to cut out the front neck, like you can see, and then you cut the armhole for the front. So I'm cutting out a facing for the neckline to turn the neck, just to make it neat. You may also decide to use a bias to turn your neck if your fabric is not enough. But if you have enough fabric, you can also decide to use linings. But I'm using the same fabric here. So I just place it. For those that may not know how to cut a facing, I just place the front bodies right now, place it on a piece of fabric. The length does not have to be that long, but at least it should be up to like 7 inches long or 10 inches long. Okay, so you just draw high, cut out the neck area, and then the shoulder. You can see the way I just cut out the neck area and then the shoulder. You may cut the shoulder to the end, or just go in by like 4 inches, or you cut, actually what you have is just about 4 inches. Okay, so I just cut the whole shoulder. You can see the whole shoulder slant and then the neckline. Okay, that's what I did for the front also. Cut the neckline and the shoulder, and wherever your length stops, maybe 4 inches, 7 inches, 8 inches is okay. Now this is the back. Okay, so I'm just going to pin the zipper side. You can see I've pinned the zipper allowance. I'm just assuming that I've sewn it. Okay, so you now open the front and place on it. Like, we want to cut that slant out. All right, so you place the fabric. You can see that I place it wrong side facing the wrong side, as if the dress is sewn already, so that you don't make mistake when you are drawing your lines, because it's an asymmetric design. Okay, so you have to determine where you want the gathers to be. Okay, so like some people, they may want it to start on the waist, exactly on the waist, because the length of the gown may not be that long. So it all depends on you. You may even place it to be between the waist and the hip. Like for this one, you may go up from the hip by 5 inches, because the distance between the waist and the hip is usually between 10, okay, or 9. So you may make it to be in between the waist and the hip, to have that to give you enough effect, or just 3 inches above the hip. It all depends on you. But right now, what I'm trying to do is to first get a slanted line. Okay, so I'm just going to get a slanted line. So I'm reducing. I'll reduce one side, the side that will be higher, by like 5 inches. Okay, I'll reduce it by 5 inches first to give me that shape. You may also decide to sew it completely like this, like sew it completely like this without cutting it out, and then you do your gathers on it to cover, to you make your gathers, that's the upper part, the longer part, to stop where this our full length stops, and then the the shorter part to stop where this our full length stop, right? And then the longer part to be a bit longer than that other side. So but for this, the owner does not want any fabric on that, so I'm just going to cut it out. So I'm going to cut out that part. You can see that I left seam allowance that I used to fold it up. So I left about that's about 4 inches seam allowance. I'm just trying to be on the safe side, like I don't want any complaint. So I just left about 4 inches seam allowance, then I'll fold it up 2 inches, 3 inches, because really, if I'm the one, I want fabric under. So just to be on the safe side, I'm just slanting it out. But like I said, you may leave yours to be like this, and then you make the length of the shorter part to be the length of this fabric. So I'm going to show you how you're going to cut the gathers, okay, to have that effect. So for this one, I'm going to be folding in the edges, okay. So I've done that. Okay, I've cut it out, and then like I said, I'm going to fold the edges before we now place our gathers. So we are going to be sewing this now. Okay, so I'm going to sew round it before we're going to place the gathers. So for the upper side, I've um I've already fixed the zip for the back, okay. Then I'm going to use the facing that I've cut to turn the necklines. You can see that I've already fixed the zip for the back before turning the neckline. So this is for the front. You're just going to place out your facing that you have cut out and sew around the neckline. Then for the back, I'm also going to unzip it like a bit so that I'll be able to open up that neck area. So you can see it now. Now the front side, you're going to place the facing on it. And so it also helps to secure the mouth of the zip. So that's why it's good to fix the zip. And then it's going to have a neat finish also at that point, at least. Even though it's not the end, at least that beginning part is going to be neat. Okay, I'm sure you'll have seen some dresses like that. Okay, so we turn the neckline 1/2 inch like so, and then you sew on the zipper area at the upper part. That's very simple. That's it. So I've done that. You can see how neat it looks, at least like I said, on the upper parts, because I'm going to weave the down parts. So I did the same thing for the front. And so the next thing we're going to do is to shape our dress. So you're going to sew the shoulder to shoulder, and then you use your seam allowance to sew the sides. Now, the gathers. The gathers, to do it, that's where the work comes. Now, that short part, I'm not starting from the down part, like the edge. And by the time you finish, you want the length one side to be longer than the other one. Already I've cut the bodies to be longer than the other one, so you're just going to form a slanted line on your dress. As I'm doing, you're going to form a slanted line. Already one side of this dress is longer by like 5 inches more than the other one, so I carry it up again like 3.5, so it's now like 8.5 inches longer than the other one. Okay, so I carry it up like 8.5 and 3.5 abi. So one side is longer by the other one. Now from that point, you're going to determine the length that I want the shorter part to be 5 inches longer, shorter than the longer part. Okay, so when I'm cutting the fabric, I determine the length that I want. Let's say I want the length of that one to be 38. So from that point, I'll mark 38, know what I need there. Maybe what I need will be like 18. Then the other part, I want it to be 5 inches shorter, so I mark where it will stop, so maybe that will be like 15. So now this fabric, I call them to be equal, and I now slanted it. Their difference now is, let's say, that 3.5, okay, or whatever the difference of their length is, probably the 3.5. You will now bring it down. That's, you slant it this other side and slant it to the other one, you can see, so that by the time you finish gathering that other side, it has to be longer. It has to be longer to make up for your length. So you just have to be very calculative about it. You have to be very calculative. Okay, so that's how I did it. I measured from where the slant, the upper part is starting. I measured the length that I want. Where the shorter part is starting, I measured the length that I want. I use the length of the longer one to cut the fabric. Okay, then you now slant it. So after gathering it, this is the outcome. You can see, this is the outcome. I gather the edges and I place it on the fabric. So it's very easy. It's very easy, just that you have to be very calculative. To sew this dress is easy. So the length, I have the length that I want on that upper part. The fabric on the longer, on the shorter part is actually longer when you look at it, but it's shorter at the end because we came up again by 3.5. So you can see my waist. I came down from the waist. Okay, so this slant started in between the waist and the hip, and the other one is below the hip. The other one is below the hip. So that's how the beauty came out very well. One is in between the waist and the hip, close to the, that's about, their distance is about 10 inches. Okay, so this is the sleeve. If you have not seen my video on how to cut a sleeve, you can go and check it out. It's on the channel. I'm also going to drop the link in the description box, or you can just search it out on the channel. So I'm going to fix the sleeve on it. If you have found this video helpful, my friends, please give it a thumbs up and drop your comments too, so that it will help this video to reach other people that need it. Now this is the outcome. You can see how beautiful it is. Wow, this is so lovely. And if you have not subscribed, please kindly subscribe and help this channel to grow. When you subscribe, it will grow. I'll see you in my next video. Thank you.